Hello, back we are. How's it going, Zach?
It's going. How is it going from the other side of the world?
It's going good. I had a bit of a tiring day, but I have my I have my San Francisco cup actually here,
There you go.
and getting some chai in there, so it'll be good. Yeah, it's been a very active week. Lots going on. You go through some weeks where you do a lot of new things, and then you go through some weeks where people have famously heard of Mark Zuckerberg saying like move fast and break things, right? So well, there's I think our philosophy is like move fast and build things. But then what that doesn't allow you adequate time to do is QA, you know. And so you kind of have to fix things while they're alive, and it complicates things a little bit.
Oh,
But
definitely.
that's what we're doing. We're committed to it, and we are moving forward with it. And so my point is that this week we spent a lot of time addressing some core issues, etc. And I'll talk about those in the course of the hour here, and share those details. But today, for me personally, I spent the entire day at the hospital because my dad was having all kinds of checkups and tests and things like that. For those of you who don't know, I'm here in India because I'm here to take care of my dad. Well, the good thing is that he's well, and the docs gave him the sort of green light to travel with me because I really didn't wasn't keen on just leaving him here. I want to be with him and take care of him. But the travel is long, to it's even if you use connecting flights, it's at the end of the day, it's 16 hours of flight time with additional connections and blah blah blah. So it becomes a whole 24-hour kind of ordeal. So I want to make sure that he can handle that, and I want to take him back and have him be in Mountain View for a couple months. So we did all those checkups today and all that, and it was good. I also, had forgotten about the healthcare system here and how different it is and compared to what we have in the US.
I'm
Like
sure.
one of and I'm not yet ready to say in any certain terms whether one is better or the other, but I can tell you one thing is in terms of things like appointments in the US, like you call and you got like, oh yeah, you can come in 2 weeks or something like that. And it's like, no, I'm dying right now. Well, then go to the ER. But here, you can get appointment like pretty much the same day or next day, which I find like really cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and the level of care is very good. I mean, it's not like some sloppy whatever. It's really good. So
I'm sure. I
I'm
mean, who reads my X-rays? Is doctors in
yeah.
India?
Actually, people travel here to get major procedures done because they save a ton of money, and they know the care is
Turkey
good.
as
In
well.
fact, a lot of the doctors export to the West, from here. So they have a good standard of care, and yeah. So, but it's always interesting when you're working through sort of the healthcare system about the paperwork and how things go, etc. And while at each station, if you will, or whatever, things are automated, there is no cross department or whatever communication. You literally have to ferry a folder over,
Oh, really?
so yeah, and that's kind of interesting. And then even sort of the billing and all that is less automated, so you got to do more work. But enough on that. Yeah, so getting back to Vitruveo, I apologize for not being too active in the community. It's just that I've been working both time zones, US and India, and it's grueling, and I don't have a lot of bandwidth to go into Discord and all that. I love to do that, but there's just too many things clamoring for my attention, too many deadlines, and too many things to get done. So I apologize for that, and I'll try and do a better job of that. But yeah, we can get going with the uh, with the download. But before that, how are you doing, and what's new in your neck of the woods?
Snoo in the neck of my woods. Well, it's the NFL draft in Detroit this weekend. So
Hmm.
there was 200. I was one of the crazy people that actually went down because it's right down in City Square, right at Jefferson and Woodward, which is like where there's Hart Plaza is. There was 275 1,000 people there last night, which broke.
Wait, how did they fit? Where did they fit? What stadium or whatever can hold that many people?
It wasn't a stadium. It was like they cordoned off of it's called Hart Plaza, which they hold music festivals there and other things. And then there's like Campus Marshes, which is like this little like cutesy brunchy area with like an ice skating rink during the winter. But yeah, it was nuts how many people were there. And we broke the 08 was the record. Nashville had it since 08, and it was 200,000 people. So, but it's Hero Weekend. I might go back down again today. Go check out some of they have like a little like pop-up events. Like, you can go run a 40-yard dash. Not that I'm going to be embarrassing myself like that, but they have a bunch of really cool stuff, and a bunch of players are in town signing autographs. So it might be kind of a cool. It's really nice out too. It's like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So
yeah. Look at that. Gus is making me feel FOMO there. Weather at home is fantastic. Meanwhile, here it is a sweltering 94 degrees every single day, and it's humid and yeah. I've been out twice now, and I'm not going to venture out a whole lot. It's not ideal. Air conditioning is good, but for me, I prefer ceiling fans. So, yeah. All right, cool. Shall we get going then? Yes. Let me add my screen, and we can get going here. All right, folks, welcome to another Vitruveo download, where we review the week in review and also talk about what's coming up. This is season 3, episode 4. It is April 26, 2024, and I'm Nick Kalyani, the founder, coming to you from India this time. And let's get going. I don't have my full desktop set up here, so I have one screen, and so I kind of have to shuttle between the two. So give me a moment while I get that set up, and then we can get moving here. Right. Got a bunch of windows here. Single desktop definitely is a little challenging. Where is that window? All right, there we go. There's the window I was looking for. All right, so let's start with protocol. So in our protocol, we have crossed the 3.1 million block mark. We are at about 22,775 wallets. What is really important this past week was we crossed a critical milestone at 3 million blocks. So we had some code in there related to the click protocol. That's the consensus protocol we use. And there was activation at 3 million blocks. And I'm happy to say that we've passed that milestone, and there was no issue. There was no incident. So that's a good thing. We had another huge milestone this week, and that is with our validators. We achieved 100 validator status on the network, and the validator team is going crazy. They are working so efficiently and so well, and kudos and hats off to them. We had them here last week to talk about it. They're doing really well, but the network is now secured with 100 validators, and we'll continue to add more. What we are doing is closely monitoring the network and making sure that the protocol is handling things well. And so far, it is. So the current release, if you go to the Vitruveo GitHub and you look at the source code for the Vitruveo protocol, you'll see that it is tagged mainnet release 3, release candidate 3, version 0.5.7. So what we plan on doing is having one more release, which will really be a final release, release candidate 4, which should technically be our mainnet release. So that is where we are doing some minor tweaks, but if we don't see any issues with that, then we leave that running, and that is essentially our mainnet release. So we've been through several of these release candidates, and each time we've maybe tweaked it just a little tiny bit, and we are pretty confident now that the software is stable and things are moving well. So that is good. And once again, kudos and thank you to the validators team, because we couldn't have reached this milestone without all your hard work and efforts. So thank you again. And just so you guys know, the process now of adding validators requires consensus of 51% of the existing validators. So logistically, what the team's pulling off is quite amazing, because for each batch of validators they add, they have to get 51%, and now in this case 51 other validators who are distributed around the world to approve and into that for the new batch to come in. And each time that number required increases, and so it gets a little bit more logistically challenging. And but the team's done it; they pulled it off, and I appreciate all their work in doing that. All right, financial update: we had no withdrawals this week, but as I had hinted last week, there are some outstanding bills that we need to pay, and because it's the end of the month, we will have to pay for the developer team also. But we are continuing to operate in austerity mode, and so we are making sure that the only expenses that we make are absolutely the ones that have to be paid. And for all the others, we've requested deferrals, and that seems to be going okay for the moment. But we are also, as I will address later in this session, we're also working on getting capital in, so we should be past these issues here in short order. Okay, our next update is about airdrops. So we had a major airdrop blast, if you will, and all the collected credits airdrop is now completed. So every booster holder, regardless of the type of booster, has now received collector credits. If you have not received, or if you think you have not received what should be due to you, please let us know. But as far as we are looking at the accounting on this, it is completed, and you have each booster holder has received for each booster the appropriate number of collector credits, and that is basically a USD value of 150 divided up into $10 collector credits each. So that is done. Now, in terms of activations, so there's a couple of activations that we've been working on, and we are a little behind on that, I will admit. The first one is we want you to be able to view those collector credits in scope. But one of the challenges we have is that some of our investors have a large number of boosters, and as a result, they have a large number of collector credits. And it isn't essentially the browser cannot handle that large amount of images, etc. So we need to take some measures so that the normal pattern for these things is to paginate and load on demand, etc. So we are doing that, but more importantly, we can't query the blockchain with a decent enough speed and get results quickly enough to be able to hydrate that page, to populate that page quickly. So we have a solution for that. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, and that solution is actually deployed now, so we can complete the activation and allow you to view your collector credits in a scope. So that's coming up. But more importantly, we want you to be able to use those collector credits. And for that, it's important for us to have Vitru Search updated and live. And I have updates on that also. So we are very close to that milestone. We are a little behind on it, but we are very, very close. And we've got a critical path set of tasks done, which I'll talk about. And those tasks are in progress, and the moment those are done, Vitru Search goes live, and you can start using your collector credits. All right, so that is the collector credit airdrop and activation. Next thing I want to talk about is dApps. There's a lot of dApp activity going on, and as I mentioned at the beginning with Zach, I spent a huge amount of time this week doing QA maintenance and sort of upgrades on a bunch of dApps. And an overall infrastructure upgrade, if you will. And so you're going to start seeing the results of that already. So I'm going to report on some of those now. So the first thing is about performance. So I was just talking about how the performance of querying the blockchain was slow. So the industry standard for that is something called indexing. And one of the platforms that does the indexing really well is the Graph. We also have other services like Alchemy, etc., that do indexing. But the Graph has one unique capability. which is while they are a cloud service, they also offer all their software in open source so that you can run your own what they call subgraph, if you will. So we are not at the point yet where Alchemy, QuickNode, the Graph, etc., will include Vitruveo in their hosted offerings. Maybe in a few months they will. So until then, we still need a solution. We still need it possible for developers to query the blockchain very rapidly and get back results. So what we have done is we've implemented our own subgraph. And I'm very excited to report that as of today, it is now live. And what I want to do is demo. So this is a milestone for us because it enables all the dApp developers who are starting to build on our platform to have rapid data access, because querying the blockchain for applications, live applications, is okay for 1 or 2 pieces of data. But when you're querying, like, give me all the NFTs owned by this user across all contracts, that is not only not feasible easily, but also very slow. And when I say slow, like minutes, and that's unacceptable user experience response time. So that's where the graph and subgraph, etc., comes. So I'm pleased to demonstrate to you that we have graph.vitruveo.xyz here. And while this may not be of much significance to a lot of crypto investors and creators who are here, it is important because for all the tools and all the dApps that you want built that will essentially be the core of this ecosystem, for almost all of them, having the ability to query data efficiently and quickly and reliably is very important. And this makes that possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you right now what we've got going on. Basically, what you have here with the graph is you have a series of objects here, and these objects can be expanded to create queries. So you don't have to necessarily do that. If you know what you're doing, you can just type it in directly. But otherwise, what you can do is you can go through here and select. So in this case, I've selected ERC21 contracts, and what I want to know is which contracts are we currently indexing. So let's get the ID and the name of these contracts, and then you can hit go, and it will return a list of all the contracts that are being indexed. So right now, we have Swoops on the Honcho Marketplace that is being indexed. We have Vitruveo Collector Credit that's being indexed. Now, this one in particular would be impossible to run without an indexing service like this, because that contract has over 150,000 NFTs in it. We also have the Vitruveo Core NFT that has around 7,500, maybe 7,800 NFTs, and the Vitru Boosters, which has 10,200 NFTs. So as you can see, these are some large numbers, and having this capability here makes it possible for us to query and get information very quickly. So for example, let's say that we wanted to get some of the Swoops token holders. What could you do? Well, what you can do here is we can put some filters in place, and we can say that, well, I only want to get all the tokens from this contract, the one that I just copied, the Swoops. And we can also say that for that, I want to return all the tokens, and I want to return the token IDs, and I also want to return who the owner is and their ID for that. And then you hit go, and it returns all the results. And you can see how you've got the token ID, you've got the owner of that token, and so on and so forth. And you can finesse your query in as much detail as you want, and the developers know how to do this. And then they take this query and they plug it into the application, and instead of interacting with the blockchain, they interact with Graph, and Graph gives them the results instantaneously. And Graph is set up to watch the blockchain for all transfer events. Essentially, when you mint an NFT or you transfer it from one user to the other, it generates an event called the transfer event. So the Graph is constantly watching the blockchain for that, and as it happens, it indexes it, and therefore it is able to give us this kind of results. So that is now live, and I'm very excited about it because for developers, this makes a lot of applications possible that were not possible to date. All right, we'll continue. Give me a moment here, please. I need to check on my StreamYard. Can't see it quite well, so I'm just going to bring it up here. And I see some questions here, so let me take those. All right, so here's a question from Wanjahi. Does the subgraph need updates over time or maintenance, or is it set and will always give consistent performance? Yeah, so subgraph, like any other software, is software, and it is can be upgraded. So that's the application part of it. The indexing can be improved. The capabilities that it offers can be improved. The UI can be improved. But the more important thing is, can we add dynamically contracts for it to index? And the answer is yes. And actually, this is a really important point for us because of the fact that every creator that signs in and essentially consigns their first asset, at that time, we create a contract for them. So every creator is going to have a smart contract, and their contract is where all their NFTs that are licensed from them are minted into that contract. And so over time, we will have thousands and thousands of creator contracts. We call them creator vault. We call it creator vault because in addition to NFTs, they are also a multi-sig for holding the creators' funds from sales, so that they are not possible for hackers to get if they're directly in their MetaMask or something. We see artists getting hacked all the time, so we've built in a safety protocol for that. And in addition to sort of the multi-sig, it also holds how they want the funds distributed, splits and things like that. So all of that goes into smart contracts. And what we've done is we have built a dynamic API on top of the subgraph. It's actually written in Rust, which is a really great language if you want to write extremely high performance apps. In fact, what we call them bare metal apps, because there's nothing between them and they're as close to the operating system as you can get. So anyway, we've written this processor where we can dynamically add contracts to it as people register, as people, for example, deploy a new contract, which would need to show up in the Honcho marketplace, etc. So all of that is in place with this API, and it is dynamic and it's working now. And this is a big milestone for us because it brings us closer to the maturity level of other blockchains when it comes to dev tooling. This is one of the important dev tools that is needed. All right, so continuing on with the deck here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about scope. So one of the things that I've talked about the past couple of weeks is the NFT view and how challenging it has been because of the very problem I've been talking about, the latency and all that. Now that we have the subgraph, can integrate that and start displaying the results. So it was frustratingly slow to try and build this feature where you've got the code, you can see the NFTs, etc., but it's so slow that no user would tolerate that and they would leave. So we don't want that. We want it to really be very, very dynamic and very fluid. And so now we can do that with the subgraph capability. All right, so expect to see that integration as quickly as I can get it done. So we'll probably do it in two parts. One is the NFT viewer part, and then is the collector credit part. Probably separate out the collector credit part there. All right, next up is Vitruveo Stake. So as some of you might have noticed, we are now at the block number where it is possible to claim your 60-day rewards. So I'm pleased to report that we've done some testing this AM, and we are ready to activate that rewards capability. So within the next 24 hours, you should be able to go to the Vitruveo Stake application, and you should be able to see a rewards button there and be able to claim your 60-day reward. We'd encourage, you can at that point unstake, but I encourage you to leave the Vitruveo stake because you are earning DEX fees. Now, we don't yet have the contract for you to be able to claim that, but we are working on that and we are updating that. So as long as you leave your Vitruveo stake there, you can claim your rewards, no problem. But the stake Vitruveo will continue to earn a portion of the DEX fees. And I'm very grateful to some of the members of the community who have stepped up and offered some help on coming up with some interesting staking programs. Haven't had a chance to finish my review of those and collaborate with them, but that is also coming up. So we do plan on adding more interesting staking programs where you can have additional rewards also, which also brings me to the issue of MEXC. So I think there's been some confusion in sort of the Discord here. So I just want to, for the record, just state very clearly and build upon exactly what I stated last week is what happened was MEXC has an internal full node. Basically, it's a read-only validator node. It doesn't do any validation. It just tracks all the blocks. And for whatever reason, their node kept losing connectivity essentially with the blockchain. It's called unable to find peers is basically what the actual error is. We suspect that their node is in an environment where there are lots of other blockchain nodes and there's some confusion going on. Anyway, we offered to help several times, hop on a Zoom, hop on a Meet as needed, but they did not take us up on that offer. We ended up giving them a static list of all the peer nodes because there's 100 nodes at this point. There's no reason why, and those nodes are running without any issues, and only this node was having a problem. So anyway, we gave them the boot nodes, as they're called, a static list, and it seems like that might have fixed the problem. The next issue is that there's another team that is responsible for the withdrawals and payments, and so in our communication with them, we basically asked them to activate those because the blockchain validator, their node was stable. Honestly, if they would just use one of our existing nodes, this will not be an issue, but they insist on using their own node, which I understand. It's from a latency perspective, it's good for them. But in any event, so they partially enabled it. I think they enabled withdrawals, but not deposits. And then they informed us that due to the low volume, we have to get the volume up. And I think it's a circular argument there, is you can't have volume if parts of the transactions like are blocked. So at this point, what we have to do is continue to collaborate with them and get that get the deposit feature activated. So we are in a Telegram group with them. That's how we communicate, and we'll continue to communicate with them. So at this point, we've emphasized that we do need that enabled, and they said they are looking into it and working into it. So that's basically the complete details. You now at this point, everything I do with regard to MEXC, and our goal is to have everything working flawlessly there. But we also we don't have the ability to force them to do things. We have to work collaboratively with them, and so that's what we're doing, and we'll continue to do. So I will keep you updated, but this is the current status. The technical problems, as I understand them, are resolved, and now it's a question of the business team making that decision. So once we have more information, we'll present it to you. All right. Next up is OTC fulfillment. So some of you might have experienced a high latency, a high delay on the OTC fulfillment. So I want to explain kind of how that works. So we have essentially a Binance chain, Ethereum, and Vitruveo, 3 chains involved. And the airdrop application allows you to essentially swap stable coins like USDC, USDT, BUSD, etc. for Vitruveo. So that swap transaction occurs on one of those chains, BSC or Ethereum, and then we have a monitoring process that monitors for those transactions on those networks and then based upon that, it executes and funds the account here on the Vitruveo end of things. And that has always been slightly problematic, and we've put in lots of sort of safeguards in place, etc. And we had an issue with one transaction last week that kind of kept messing things up, and it went into a repeat loop. We were able to identify that transaction and manually fulfill it. And subsequent to that, we had to deal with the fact that the queue would not proceed past that transaction. So we resolved it. And now, as of this morning, the latency issue is resolved to about 5 minutes. But we are also working on integrating CryptoLink, which is essentially a bridge, and that will bring us to 10 to 15 second fulfillment time. So we are very confident that we have figured out a good way, a good stable way to address this latency issue. And we are working on yet better way to get that also resolved. So that is the news around OTC fulfillment. All right, sip of chai. Next up, let's talk about USDC status. I'm very pleased to report that 2 of the 3 contracts have passed their review completed by Circle. For the 3rd contract, Circle is actually testing a new review tool on the Vitruveo mainnet. And I'm told that the final contract is expected to be approved next week. So as soon as that's approved, we will announce the launch date, and they're planning an exciting launch program for USDC for the first users of Transporter that will be able to sort of bridge funds over from Polygon to Vitruveo. So I expect to hear about this anytime. And in fact, we have a Discord group, and I see regular updates. So as soon as we have news, I will update the community on the approval of the last contract. And then it just is a matter of us getting the page spun up where you can actually do this. But like I said, we want to have an exciting program for you to participate in to celebrate the launch of our first stablecoin on our network. So that is the current news on that. And you can actually monitor the contracts as they come live and are approved on chain. I'll push out an update in Discord with the contract addresses, so you can see them. But they are basically Circle contracts. They're not our contracts, and they have to be verified and approved by Circle because it is they are the owners of that stablecoin. So that is the status on USDC. Next up, let's talk about ecosystem dApps. So the Honcho marketplace was launched and with several projects, and things from the first launch perspective were functioning quite well, but we identified fairly early that it needed an indexing service, which I've just talked about with the graph, etc. So now, with that in place, we should be able to speed things up. The other thing we also noticed is that the transaction activity is substantial, and we needed a server upgrade. So the ePlace team is working on that, and I believe the app is currently in maintenance mode because there is a server upgrade in progress to increase the speed. And as soon as that's complete, it will be relaunched. So I was very excited to see that there were multiple projects active on there. There was Swoops, Crocodiles, Sochai. And what I'm really, really excited to report is that we have already started the process to activate boosters on Honcho. So for those of you who have boosted, your boosters are now essentially an artwork, a rare artwork NFT, and you'll be able to trade them on Honcho for whatever prices you deem appropriate for them. So remember, there's 21 artists who graciously contributed their artwork for these boosters. And I'm also pleased to report that one of the arrangements or agreements rather we had made with these artists is that while their initial contribution was free, if there were any royalties from secondary sales, which well, in a sense, it would be a primary sale, but let's call it secondary sales on the marketplace, that they would be due a royalty. And so that will be activated. So artists will receive a 10% royalty on any booster transactions. So that is coming up in the marketplace. I'm really excited to see the marketplace come together and see new projects get listed on there. There's a lot of other projects that are actually working on completing the work that they need to do in order to get integrated. So I think we're going to see quite a series of project launches on there, and the ability to mint and to trade NFTs. So really excited about that. All right. The next thing I want to talk about now is about Vitruveo Suite. So Vitruveo Suite, as you may know, is our suite of applications for creators. We have Studio, Stream, Store, and Search. And we are well on our way to having two of these see the light of day. And this past week has been all about Vitruveo Studio. So very excited to see that many artists have started and finished their consignment process. So we actually have them push their artwork and have it appear in a smart contract. We also have licenses on chain, and that's so at last count there were several hundred of these transactions, and they're continuing on. Remember, our Genesis artwork artist cohort is 1,000. So we will get all of those onboarded, and then immediately after that start onboarding from our wait list, which has several thousand people also. So some artists encountered issues. Some of them were able to complete things very smoothly. And so the issues that were encountered were sort of in the domain of, why does this happen for this person, but not for the other people? And so we're trying to, we kind of figured it out. It had to do with, some of it had to do with file sizes. Some of it had to be with, to do with file names, etc. But regardless, we've found fixes. And as of this AM, those fixes have been deployed. So now we're going to wait for the artists to retry them and find out if the issues persist. And if they persist, we are committed to actually hopping onto a Zoom or a meet with an artist and trying to diagnose it with them. But we are monitoring very closely, and we are confident that these fixes will help the artists who are encountering any issues move past it. Now, if you are an artist who is encountering an issue, please go to Dreamverse and post your issues there. Kindly do not DM anybody, me, Fur, etc. We cannot provide individual support, and we will not be able to reply to your DM. So if you want high quality support, please go to Dreamverse, to the Vitruveo Studio channel group, and post there. I'm there reading people's posts and responding to them. Fur is there. Dr. Martin is there, who's very graciously helping us out. So please go there if you have any issues, and let us know, and we'll try to get them resolved. Now, the next component of this, the artists have consigned the artwork. Now we need it to show up in Vitruveo Search. So what we spent a lot of time on yesterday, in fact, is the Vitruveo Search critical path task list that has been created. And now the team is working to complete that task list very rapidly. So it's not a very large list, but it's an important list, and it needs to get done because it's where we start integrating purchase activity and financial transactions. So we want to make sure that those work reliably and very accurately. So I'll be able to give you a better sense of the completion of the current test list early next week. So we are kind of triaging them right now, prioritizing them, and figuring out what goes first, what goes last, etc. And as quickly as we can, we will have it launched, because then it gives you the ability, especially if you have collector credits, to start collecting those artworks. So that's the milestone we want to achieve as quickly as possible. And we will have an update for you on Monday. All right. So that is a quick update on search. And now and talk about download. So today's download is available at this link. Now, with regard to the prices for the prior downloads, I heard the several users had the issue where they use multiple emails to collect, and so it becomes a problem. So what I've sort of asked the team to do is to look at a consolidate feature. So we might push that out first before we start awarding prizes. So it gives you the ability to sort of merge your downloads from multiple email addresses into one. So look for that, and hopefully we can get that done as early as next week, and you can merge, and then we can start distributing the prizes. All right. So that was my download for today. And as I mentioned right at the onset, this was a very busy week of fixing things and getting core infrastructure things working. That's all done now, and we can start rolling out some of these things. So Zach, if you're around, hop back on, and we can look at some questions and get going. All right.
I didn't see a lot of questions today because you kind of addressed it a few, but there was one little like YouTube validator chat that I wanted to highlight that I saw, because Rich came out with, for us validators, is there a way for us to get notified if a validator is down? Super, very important. Rich, thank you for asking such a great question. A text alert email system through Explorer could be really cool. But I don't know what you have planned. I know you had some things planned about around this stuff a little bit, but Nathan B stepping up to the plate, giving out some really good. And Nathan, you impressed. Not that SO doesn't impress me every day with how much he knows about this community, but Nathan, you really impressed me when you guys came on here and had that really in-depth conversation last week. But he gave up the suggestion of Uptime Robot, and that's for his virtual machine. It'll give you monitoring and alerting for the process. So, but for Nathan B and SO and the other validators, if there is something that you guys want to, this is just a suggestion, want to actually build, that'd be a good ecosystem tool for all validators, and we could maybe potentially find someone to do a grant for that and build a custom tool for Vitruveo. So if you guys want to talk about doing something like that, just so it's easiest, just contact me. Obviously, Esther knows how to get a hold of me. So, but I thought that was a really good conversation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Nathan Nesco and like the Baron, the validator team is doing its thing. So I trust that they will have that. We intend to have a validator stats portal also launched soon. So yeah, I trust that they will have tools. Now, one thing that I wanted to update the community on, which I didn't have a slide for just because I ran out of time, is our highest priority right now, as I repeated, as I stated last week, is in the month of May, we want to have the final deal done on Wrap Vitru being on a centralized exchange. I'm saying we want to have the deal done because, as I mentioned, it's the exchange that determines what your date is. You can't go and say, I want to be on this, at this date. They have their marketing plans, they have their onboarding plans, etc. So our goal is that our deal is finalized. We have that done. And working backwards from that, I've consistently told people that's all about getting liquidity capital in, and for that we have to get traction. And you can see that the traction coming together. I mean, we've done so much activity in terms of launching things, etc. Both on sort of the gen side of things with the launch of the Honcho marketplace and the projects coming on there, and now with Studio coming online and the ability for the creators to consign artworks, and then next week, optimistically next week, the ability for search to be there and people start collecting, etc. So this is all the definition of traction. So more, and then USDC launching and having things around that. So there's a lot of this activity coming together, and the conversation dynamic that I have with institutional investors has changed. Uh, it has changed from, oh, we will be doing this, to now, look, we got this going, with this going, which really changes the dynamic of the conversation. So we are continuing to focus on that capital raise, and I'm very optimistic that we will meet our goals around the liquidity and listing of the coin. So we are very focused on that. Just make no mistake that I give an update on all the productivity around the dApps and infrastructure, etc. But all of that is leading to one thing, so it is leading us to that exchange listing. So that last, it's the last of many milestones that we sought to achieve, and after that there'll be many more milestones, ton more. But that's a big milestone that I know everyone is quite impatiently waiting for, and I just want you to know that it's our focus. We absolutely are working toward that goal. And yeah, all of this activity, like 100 validators, getting 1,000 artists onboarded, getting I don't know, a dozen projects on the marketplace, getting a stable coin, etc. If it isn't evident to you that that's traction, then I don't know how to communicate that. It is a lot of traction, and we're finally at the point where all the carefully laid rails, carefully laid plans, and all the work we've been doing is coming to fruition now. So I am really, really excited about that.
Well, you said this morning, show, not tell.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a question: what is a Trooper NFT for? Yeah. So we have always had a Genesis allocation table, and in it there were various classes of users. And what we've done is emphasized investors. So we have done everything we had to in order to make sure that investors got their Nexus NFTs, etc. And then there were prior institutional investors who got benefactor tokens. So we are working our way down the different classes of NFTs. So validators got theirs, etc. And so now Trooper is essentially team members. So those are in the team member allocation column. So you will see those go out. My goal is probably by next week, we wrap up all the token allocations, which also means that our TVL will increase substantially, because now we have more and more coins that are locked basically in the CoreVest 2 contract, and so that means our TVL will increase, and we'll make sure the airdrop side is increased. So by next week we'll have concluded all the assignment of those, and basically what will be left thereafter is the treasury coins, and those are how you fund the operation of this blockchain for the future. And everyone who is due Vitru will have received an NFT with their share of it, but almost all of it is vested in some form. So yeah, so this is oh yeah, so someone asked about the Binance Live. So yeah, so we'll be back in touch with them. As you recollect, they had rescheduled last week, so we have to get back on the schedule, and we will be doing the Binance Live. Legendary Bastard has a question here. You mentioned that we'll be able to buy Vitru with collector credits. Are those the credits we got from buying boosters? Are we able to buy more Vitru with those? Okay, so your collector credit is an NFT. When you go to Vitru search and find an artwork that interests you, you click on it, and that will take you to the detail page for that. And I can probably show that in. I think I've demonstrated that actually. So to summarize, basically, there will be a mint button on the detail page, and what that mint button does is check your wallet to see how many collector credits you have. The artwork will have a price. The initial 1,000 artworks each have a price of $150. So it's going to check your wallet to see if you have the equivalent of $150 in collector credits, which because they are $10 each, it's going to check if you have 15 collector credits in your wallet. And if you do, that mint button is going to light up. You click it, and those collector credits are going to be burned from your wallet, and they are the equivalent amount of Vitru is going to be transferred to the artist whose artwork you just purchased. So over time, you will burn all your collector credits because you will spend them to collect artwork. And that's the intent of it. The collector credit has no other purpose, and so you would want to use it. You want to use it. So the initial ones are $150, but we will have artworks that are priced much higher as more artists come on board, especially artists that are more experienced and have a following, etc. So they might price artworks at $500, $1,000, $2,000 more, and so you would need the equivalent number of credits. So $10 multiplied by however many is needed to pay for that artwork. And when you hit mint, again, we would burn those credits from your account, and we would pay the artist in Vitru. So that's kind of the workflow. So Mike has a question about Senate results. So Zach, do you want to give an update on that?
Yeah. I saw a couple other people. That was the next thing I was going to talk about. Yeah. So let me count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's some duplicates, but we have about 35 nominations for Senate voting. And then testnet naming, we got 62 submissions. And thank you everyone for being appropriate. I really appreciate that. Some really good suggestions. And Nick, we talked about the one thing that is stopping us is having the voting credits installed in Scope. So I can publish the list. I'll reduce all the duplicates and I'll publish the list here as soon as we get out with this, so you guys can see. And then if you are a nominee and you don't want to be, please let me, SO, one of the mods, one of the ambassadors know that you don't want to be and I'll try to reach out to everybody who's nominated. But I'll publish that as soon as we're done with this.
Yeah. Abby has an interesting comment. He's saying, you're doing all the excitement progress, which will pump Vitru before launch. Please leave some for after launch. Great progress. Thank you. Yeah. So honestly, all the work we're doing right now is really what I would consider pre-launch. We are getting exciting things going, but I have much higher expectations for our progress and our performance levels as we approach the listing on that. I think we want to move the needles quite a bit on many fronts, and I'm especially excited about having the marketplace and search launched. And next week I will share with you our economic earnings model for Vitru Stream. That is an industry game changer, and it is designed to provide artists with a sustainable income over time versus one-off sales. That alone, and partnering with a frame manufacturer is going to be very big for us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is all leading up to much bigger news, and we will definitely pump that up. All right. So I think that's it for today's download. We are going to follow up and get some of the things we talked about today live in front of you. And I do want to say that last download, I had promised to do another Discord live in the middle of the week, but honestly, I just ran out of bandwidth. There was just so many things going on, and because of the time zone and all that, I just was not able to do it. So I won't commit to one, but if I can do one, I will do one. But I'll definitely have minor updates and announcements as things fall into place. So thank you all. I appreciate everyone in this community. I appreciate all the creators who are now coming on board, giving us feedback, etc. And I must say, I'm so happy for all the creators who completed their consignment when they tell me that this was a piece of cake. It was so simple. It was easy, and that makes me happy, because it means that all the work we did in researching the UX and all the hard work, the incredibly hard work Fur has been doing in building relationships with them and answering patiently every one of their questions, etc., it's paying off. So all of these things, they are coming together to fruition, and I'm really excited, because we are what, 4 days away from the month of May, and May is going to be an instrumental month for Vitruveo. It is going to be the month when the world sits up and takes notice of Vitruveo. So thanks everyone, and have a good weekend, and talk to you again soon.
We'll see you all next week.